Hello and welcome to Castle's Corner. I'm Coach Castle and I'm here with my friend Cathy. We're going to be answering your questions on exercise and nutrition and just about anything else we can think of today. Cathy owns Overeasy Cafe on Oakland, and she's been kind enough to take a survey from her customers, some common questions that they have, and I'm going to do my best to answer them today. So Cathy, what do you got for me?
Well, I have many customers that are overweight, unmotivated, and they want to know how to lose weight and start on a healthy diet. And they come to me, since I have lost 30 pounds since December, to ask my advice. So now we're doing a podcast. Coach Castle can answer the questions, and they can watch the podcast. So if I was going to start cardio training, how many times a week should I be exercising?
Well, it's one of those questions you got to be careful answering, because somebody might watch this video and I might say 7 times a week, 3 hours a day, and they're going to say that's impossible, they won't do it. Athletes will, of course, get that done if need be. I mean, it's going to depend entirely on the individual. If you're the average untrained individual who doesn't, let's say, go to the gym on a regular basis, you don't really take care of yourself that well, you wouldn't be expected to run 3 or 4 miles a week. That wouldn't be cardio for you. That would almost be torture. It would be almost inhuman. So what we need to do is we got to get you to a point where you're basically just breathing hard, and you do that for an extended period of time. Good rule of thumb is you can't have a conversation. So if you're taking a hard walk outside, and a hard walk means you're walking, you're pumping your arms, and it's difficult, and you can't have a good conversation with your friend next to you, you're doing cardio. And if you do that for a good 30 minutes, you're good. How many times a week do you need to do that? Again, it depends on the person, their goals, what they're trying to achieve. If you're trying to lose weight, it doesn't matter. Just start with something and build on it. Anything is better than nothing. Even doing a walk 10 minutes a day, you don't have to be out of breath. Just get in the habit of getting in the walk, and then you can build on that, because eventually you will be bored walking 10 minutes and you're going to pump it up to 15. And eventually the next month you'll find yourself jogging. Athletes, of course, they need a lot more cardio. They need it for all the amazing benefits it has, and they use it in a very different way. They use it to fuel their body, to make themselves hungrier, to pump nutrients into their torsos. They do these things, they eat all this food, but in order to eat all this food, your metabolism must be fast enough. So the standard bodybuilder will be doing cardio 7 days a week. It's not going to be an hour a day. It'll be a half an hour a day, probably in the morning. And he does that to stimulate his appetite so he can get enough nutrition in. A sprinter or a runner, well, if you're sprinting, for example, you'll probably only do, say, cardio 1 or 2 days a week, but the rest of your time will be spent concentrated on sprint training. Sprint training is not the same thing as cardio. That's almost closer to a workout than it would be to cardio. And you also have to be careful what you call cardio. Playing a basketball game is not cardio. Playing a soccer game is not cardio. That's elevating your heart rate and elevating your breath and then dropping it for an extended period of time and doing that repeatedly. That is not cardio. It won't give you the same benefits. Just like if you're on a treadmill and you're holding on for dear life, you are not doing cardio. I mean, you might think you are. You might think you're doing cardio, but you're doing something, but you're certainly not doing cardio.
I've tried to hold on. You won't let me.
No, I won't let you, because are you allowed to hold on when you walk up a mountain? Or when you're going up a mountain, you got a little rail to hold on to you there? No, of course not. And then a good tidbit, by the way, for all you people who like to hold on to the treadmills, don't. And 2, if you're going to put your treadmill on the incline and you're holding on and you're leaning backwards, you're not doing anything. You're still on a flat surface. You're angling your torso backwards. You're still on a flat surface. Try not holding on with the same angle. You will not be able to do it. So guys, just stop. You're going to hurt yourselves. Lower the treadmill back to a flat plane and walk on it without holding on, and then slowly build up, guys.
That's good advice.
I could keep going on about this subject, but let's switch to the next one.
Well, I have much more important question is when I started doing the treadmill and cardio with you, you knew I had bad lungs at the time, and I have very lots of customers that have bad lungs and bad heart disease. So how important is cardio training for I know for me it's very important, but for somebody with heart disease?
Well, let's actually back up a second. I'd like to be clear about this. Because a lot of people actually have this issue. Why don't you go ahead and tell everybody what your issue was when you started, if you don't mind?
When I started, I have severe COPD. My breathing capacity was at about 27% for inhaling, and exhaling, it was horrible. Because COPD, when you inhale, you can get the air in, but you can't get the air out. So you're essentially suffocating. Now, I actually can run, I can sprint, I can go on the treadmill for, what was my last time? 4.5 miles an hour for 12 minutes, I think. 16 minutes. So I never in my life thought that would happen, and hard work has made it happen.
And you're having hard workouts too.
Very hard workouts,
very
and
challenging.
breathing exercises have been crucial to my lungs being in better condition, a lot better than they used to be. So my goal is to hopefully by the middle of next year be off of all inhaled medicines. So that's a major goal for me.
Thank you for clarifying that. I mean, I wanted to clarify this because a lot of people do have this concern, and I would like to make it very clear that this is a reversible thing. This is not something you must suffer with. This isn't something that must be tolerated. This is something that can absolutely be fixed, cured, and removed, or if not, at the very minimum, drastically improved. I'd just like to make that clear. Now, back to the question you had previously asked. If you'd like to rephrase it for me again, please.
How important is your cardio training if you have lung disease and heart disease?
So I'm going to specifically talk about lung and heart disease now, but I'll also give a blanket statement that if you have any form of disease, health concern of any form, your primary concern should of course be getting help in medicine for it, but your next most immediate concern, it needs to be getting your diet and your literally your body, your exercise, your cardio, your breathing, it all needs to be fixed. That is more important than the medicine aspect. They're both equally important, but it's crucial that you do that because the improvements you get just from fixing your body alone, it outweighs the medicine. But that being said, it's obviously crucial, as I said. The reason it's so important for people with these heart diseases, the lung conditions, is because, to keep it simply, you very slowly, on a daily basis, accept a little bit of a lower standard with your breathing. And you do that every day for an extended period of time. And before you notice it, you were breathing normally, and now you have restricted yourself to this horrible disease. You are slowly losing your breath. And just like with anything in life, when you get comfortable and complacent, you are, for all intents and purposes, dead in the water. If you are not stretching your lungs, if you are not straining your lungs with exercise, breathing, proper breathing techniques, your cardio is crucial. It improves blood circulation. It improves the elasticity of it. I mean, I could keep going on and on and on. The point is, you must be pushing your limits with your lungs or they will never improve, and you will slowly accept a suffocating death. And I'm not being dramatic for effect. It's quite literally what happens. It's literally what happens. And it is very, very preventable. The only thing that gets in the way is your preconceived notion that getting uncomfortable is bad. If you would take, as you know, a few minutes every morning to do a few basic breathing exercises, and you're willing to do a little bit of cardio, the quality of your life changes dramatically, incredibly fast. But you have to do it. That's all.
That's a fact.
That's all.
So here's another question. What motivates you to keep going when you're exhausted while you're running? I mean, I know I've been running and I'm completely exhausted, completely out of air, just can't hardly take another breath. But you have to keep going. So what motivates you to keep going?
Are you asking what motivates me personally?
Yes.
Oh goodness. I don't know if that's appropriate for this. I'll do my best to keep it simple. So anybody who knows me, they of course know me as Coach Castle. But if you know me personally, you know I'm a little bit intense. I'm a little bit crazy when I do certain things. I've been known just to do a 50-mile run for no reason on a day off. I just felt like it. It's not things I train for. I don't run regularly. I don't train running. I'm a bodybuilder. I'm not a competitive runner. But I like to do things that really suck sometimes. Specifically because I enjoy the mental challenge of putting myself against my body. Because as you all know who watch this, your body, it likes to be comfortable. It likes to be safe and secure and soft. It doesn't like discomfort or pain. The second you start running, you ask yourself, why am I doing this? You start second guessing. You start running, it gets hard. So here's what happens to me. I always start my run off, I shouldn't say always, I usually start my run off in a pretty good mood. I'm like, I'm going to go for a run, it's going to be fun. For me, the first couple miles are fun. I'm usually listening to music. I'm having a good time. Following that, my feet start to hurt. They get swelled up with blood. Then my knees really start to hurt. I've had many injuries in my life. My back starts to hurt pretty bad as well. Then all my joints start to ache. At this point, it's usually around 5 or 10 miles. We're in Florida, by the way, and I make sure to always do these runs when it's hot as possible, because I like to suffer. So around this point in time, I'm not feeling very well, and this is where I start my self-talk. Anybody who's ever seen me in my neighborhood or running anywhere will tell you that I look like a lunatic, because when I start running and it gets very difficult, I start having a word with myself. I don't like to be weak. I don't like to show weakness, and if my body starts stumbling and saying, oh, I don't feel like doing this, I will quite literally yell at myself out loud, and I will enforce it by yelling at myself. And I mean, it's crazy as you want, but it gets results. I'm not telling you to do it. I'm not making you do it. It's what I do. It works for me. Now, following that, there are several other stages. I don't think we need to get into all the stages, but I'll give you a synapse. The next stage is unbearable pain. The next stage for me is inability to breathe. The next stage for me is just tremendous exhaustion, and I start thinking about sleeping and laying down. I start thinking about just stopping just to catch my breath for a minute. And I know that those are all tricks and lies. I know that because every time I do stop and catch my breath, it's completely unnecessary. And I know it's unnecessary. So anyways, we get to the final stages of the run where I literally have, let's say, a mile or two left. I do not see the horizon. I know there's only a mile or two left, but at that point in time it seems unbearably long. It seems impossibly far. So I simply look down at my feet, and I quite literally, I've said this for more than an hour or two at a time before, I say one more step. Literally, I just say one more step. I look at my feet and I say one more step. You can do one more step, and the day you can't do one more step, you will be dead. And I will say one more step until I have completed, walked over the line, and then I usually go a little bit further because I'm not satisfied. And then I'll stop. I hope that answers the question. I tried not to get dark, but I do go through some pretty dark shit in my head. But
that's good advice, seeing how I just signed up for a 5K in February. And I'm going to need that.
And it's going to be fun.
Advice.
It's going to be fun.
As long as you don't yell at me.
I'm going to yell at you.
Okay.
What else you got?
Well, another important question is your food intake and metabolism. So in the beginning, I didn't eat but maybe one meal a day, and then I was told you need to eat at least 3 times a day, then it was 4 times a day, and then it was 5 times a day. And I couldn't even think about eating 5 times a day. And you would yell at me saying, if you don't eat 5 times, you've done nothing today. You've done absolutely nothing. So I got used to it, and my metabolism kicked into like when I was a teenager. And I started dropping weight like crazy without doing anything.
Well, you're doing a lot, but I mean...
Well, I was doing a lot of working out or whatever.
You weren't killing yourself. You weren't killing yourself in the gym.
I was not killing myself at all.
You just fix your diet.
People think that they have to lift 100 pounds, 200 pounds, run 50 miles. That is not true. Once your metabolism is, and the swelling from the foods.
So let's I understand the question. Let's address 2 points to that question, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
So, real simple. Here's a problem. I literally hear this all the time. I don't eat. I don't like to eat breakfast. I only eat 1 meal a day.
Mm-hmm.
And now, I'm not going to say that is bad, because there are many people who do something called intermediate fasting. There are many different fasting techniques. I mean, I'm not going to say it's a bad thing to do. What I'm going to say is, if your goal is weight loss, it's not really the best way in my point of view. And I'll explain why with let's use a simple analogy. Let's say you're out in the woods with your friends. It's very cold, and you want to have a campfire. So what you do is you all go and you gather up all your wood. You make a big pile of all this wood. Okay? Light it all on fire. You've got a big, hot, raging campfire. It's wonderful. You guys are joking. You're having a great time, singing, dancing, alcohol. Fire goes out. It's cold. There's no more wood. There's no more wood. You're all freezing. Nobody's having fun anymore. Everybody's sitting there huddled. They're not moving. They're cold and they're angry and upset. Rewind. It's me and my friends going camping. Here's what we do. We go, same scenario, it's cold. We go and we get all the wood, but we make a big pile of the wood. But here's what we do. We keep the piles separate, and then we take the wood and we divide it into 6 piles. And then one pile we light on fire. And when that pile is just about to go out, we put the second pile on it. And when that pile is about to go out, we put the third pile on it. What's the difference in this metaphor? The difference is, in one case, we stay warm, happy, and going all night partying. Our metabolism is partying all night, the whole time. And the other analogy, you have your metabolism partying for about 2 hours, and then it completely stops.
Yeah, drops.
And if I need to spell this out to you guys, when your metabolism stops, you're not burning energy, you're not burning fuel, you're not losing weight. You're sitting doing nothing. Nothing's happening. If you want to lose weight, contrary though it may seem, you need to eat more. I do not mean eat more cheeseburgers and pizza. I mean eat more healthy foods and properly portion your food. There will be a whole video done on this. Keep it very simple for you guys. It's not rocket science. If your conscience and your brain and your social and cultural standards of normal tell you that the food is probably unhealthy, don't put it in your mouth. I don't need to give you a diet plan. I don't need to. You already know what's healthy or not. If I was to offer you and say, here's a nice barbecued steak with some salt and pepper, and I was to say, here is 2 double cheeseburgers from Wendy's, which one is healthier, guys? I don't need to tell you which one you should be eating. I don't need to tell you that. You know, this isn't a knock against vegetarians or vegans or anything. I'm just saying, like, there's a healthy thing here, there's an unhealthy thing here. They both contain meat, they both contain protein, they both contain... Which one is going to get you to your goals? Which one is not? You don't need me to tell you guys. You don't need me to tell you that. And then the second thing I was going to address about this question is the inflammation. The reason that we don't eat that second thing, those burgers, that ice cream, those cakes, those cookies, because, guys, listen to me, everybody. It's not, oh, I went 600 calories over eating that brownie. That brownie's sugar spiked your insulin. It screwed with your hormones, your internal hormones, guys. It changed the way that your body's operating. It's not just I ate 600 calories too much. You have just screwed up your metabolism for at least 2 or 3 days, guys. You will not be losing weight. And also, you introduced a whole slew of gut bacteria into your stomach, which will now be craving sugar the next few days, making it more likely you're going to eat something else that's bad. That's how it works. Now, when you eat these bad things, you get inflammation. That's what I'm talking about when I say, that's in regards to the hormones. This is something else. You also get systemic inflammation. The systemic inflammation, what it does is it's almost like a poison for your body. It's one of the most documented but not talked about things in America is the systemic inflammation that we all suffer, and we all suffer from it specifically from our diet choices, nothing else. It's a little bits the medicines that we take, but most of it is entirely based on what we put in our mouths.
Well, if you have bad lungs or a bad heart, the sugar is really, really not good for you at all.
I mean, if you're just a human being, it's not good for you. I mean, we can get a whole talk about sugar on this thing.
Well, so the most important thing about not a diet, but a new way of eating is keeping track of what you eat.
Yes.
And how much you eat.
Yes.
So the Fitness Pal that I downloaded early on when I was with you, was very important to see that in the first week I went and ate Chinese and I had no idea how many calories and how much sodium and how much crap is in Chinese food opposed to my chicken and rice or whatever I was eating. So I remember coming to you and saying I've been sick to my stomach for like the past 2 or 3 days, and you said, let me see what you've been eating. And you were like, you need to do this, 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 and this, and it worked.
Yep.
So I had changed my own diet to satisfy my own needs and
Wants.
And my wants,
No,
and it
not
didn't.
Not your needs, your wants.
It didn't work out very well.
The thing is, guys, and this is something that I stress. We should probably actually end on this note. We have other questions. I apologize. It's going to be kind of a short one. It's the first one. One thing I did want to end on is something that everybody that's listening to this, that you all already know this. It's real simple. If you want something in life, you must be prepared to make a sacrifice to get it. I don't mean to kill your cat. I mean, that's not what I mean when I say sacrifice. I mean, when I say sacrifice, if you want to lose weight, you must be willing to give up an hour of television for an hour of cardio. If you would very serious about changing your life, you must be willing to stop going out on the weekends and partying with your friends. I mean, I'm not saying all the time, but at least sometimes. You must make sacrifices. And if you're serious about having a better life, you must be prepared to make more sacrifices than most, guys. It's important. Cathy, do you have anything else to add? Maybe a quick question for me before we end?
No, that's pretty much it.
Well, let's say bye. Bye, everybody. Thanks.
Bye.